Hello. It looks like 3 of you are there. Yay. Even if we just get like 10 people, I'd be really happy today. So welcome to the 5 of you now that are here. Hi, Anne Maria. So yeah, hopefully it'll be a small group. I don't know about expectations I have for this. I just wanted to do it because I enjoy reading spiritually related books and things like that. And I figured, a lot of people were clamoring for a book club on Elder Gal. So I thought this would be a good way to do it because these are the type of books I like to really read. Hi, Lena. Welcome. Anyway, so there's 6 of you. Like I said, if we can just get at least 10, that'd be awesome. Hi, Internal. Bonjour. Welcome in. George and Lucy are just hanging out. They don't read much, so they prefer watching movies. That's their thing. So sometimes they ask me to, I usually watch movies when I'm either on my chaise or on my bed, and they say, Kimla, can we watch too? And then they do. So hi, Beth Larson. Are you from Sedona? It's one of my favorite places. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome in, Lucinda. So I assume all of you have read the book today. Gratitude Diaries, Janice Kaplan. This book came out about 10 years ago. And I couldn't help thinking as I was reading it, how different the world was just in 10 years. And I wondered if it would have been as easy for her to do that book now as it was 10 years ago, because it was so different. Everything was different. And I'm not saying that should make any difference in being grateful for things. I believe in gratitude. Amazing, it's amazing to live your life in gratitude. And I need to keep working on it all the time. But hi, Elizabeth, welcome in, and Lena. Oh, you read the book in German. Oh, okay. You can't discuss it in English. Okay, well, you're here, though. That's good. Yeah, Beth, yeah, I spent many times in Sedona. I lived in Flagstaff, and we used to go down to Sedona all the time. And even when I was on the road in my van, I used to go up to Sedona and hang out for a couple of days. So, yeah. Yeah, Nakoti, me too. That was just a tragedy all around. That's the whole situation, like many others. Okay, good, Beth. That's great, Lena. Okay, so again, this book was written 10 years ago, and or was published 10 years ago. And so I just kind of feel like it might have been a little different. Now, the author, Janice Kaplan, I assume she still is, a journalist and a writer. She'd written other books, and she had worked, I guess, she mentions it in the book that she had worked as, I guess, an editor for Parade magazine when that was still around. I don't know if that's still around. And, but, her husband's a doctor, and I love the way their relationship is played out in this book. Actually, I really enjoy that. In fact, that was probably one of my favorite things, which I'll get to in a minute. But so the way I want to do, let me talk a little bit about what I want to do with this book club. Hi, Nakoti. So I have questions. I prepared some stuff for us to discuss. So I'm going to ask you guys questions, and I realize you can't give super lengthy answers in the chat because it'll cut you off anyway. So hi, Rick, welcome. And so we'll just give it a go this time. I'll have to make adjustments as we go along. We're going to do a book club once a month, and we'll just see how it goes. But first, before we start talking about the book, if you have not kept a gratitude journal yet, I recommend you do so. This is an old journal book I've had that's been empty, and I started making it my gratitude journal. And basically I put down the date, And then I put down I'm grateful for, and then as many things as I want to write that day, I can write. And if I only want to write 3 things, minimum is 3 things a day, but I can write down a number of things. And I think that and you can make each day a focus. Like you can say, today I'm going to really like focus on, like for me, I could focus on my YouTube channel, or I could focus on my healthy habits, whatever. But those kinds of things, you can be specifically grateful for certain things on certain days. So I do recommend, if you have not ever done a gratitude journal, it is the best thing to turn things around in your life on a personal level. Hi, Kate, welcome in. And so I hope you do that. So let me know first, how many of you already have done gratitude journals or doing one right now? And let me know that. So just chime in, and then we'll get started on the actual book here. So Rick says he's doing gratitude daily. Awesome. And you don't have to write it down. You can just say it, but I find it more helpful to write it. Faith says all. Lucinda says have not yet, but plan to. Lena says I do it in my head. Good. Yeah, whatever way you do it, what works for you is good. I'm not saying there's only one way to do this. But, as I've shared before on my videos, I did not start being grateful till maybe, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. Seriously, I'd spent my life not feeling very grateful. I was not raised to be grateful. I didn't come from a family that was very gratitude oriented. I really didn't. And so it was a new concept to me. It really was. And I struggled with it for many years before I finally started adopting it back around 2013. So, but I swear by it. It has gotten me through some tough times. And anyway. And Maria says, not yet, but I mean to. Yeah. And hopefully after we give you a pep talk today, you'll feel even more like doing it. Hi, Diana. Welcome in from SoCal. I think what's nice about having a dedicated gratitude journal is that you don't write anything else in it. It's just for gratitude. And so you can be a small, like pocket size. Like you can put it in your purse or your pocket or whatever. I just think, it's really nice to have it in one dedicated spot. That's what I found works best for me. Oh, Faith, wow, you had a broken back at 16? Wow. Well, I'm glad. I'm sorry you had to go through that to learn gratitude, but sometimes it is going through a tough time or a tragedy that really does it. With me, what finally caused me to open up and be more grateful was when I basically started becoming more spiritual in a very, like I started meditating more. That was really the key for me. When I really got more into the spirituality aspect, it was easy to be grateful. It was a lot harder before that. When, you guys have heard about my time in the wasteland. When I was in the wasteland, I didn't feel grateful. I did not feel grateful. And that just kind of perpetuated it. So, yeah, this is a specialty type of journal. And that's what I like about it. You don't have to sit and write about your day. You don't have to do like a morning pages kind of thing, which I also think has its place and value. But this is just a very separate kind of thing. I mean, like a book like this could last me, doing gratitudes, it could last me over a year just in this one little book. So anyway. Yes, Rick, it is. Rick says there's magic in writing what you're grateful for and then reading it back to yourself. Exactly. Looking at what you wrote the day before, is just really, I think that's what makes it better than just having it in your head, because you can actually look at the accumulation of the gratitude that you've had. So yeah, thanks for saying that, Rick. Okay, so I'm sorry, I have an itch on my eye here. Okay. So the thing that stood out to me, first of all, let's just talk in general about those of you that read the book. Did you like the book overall, and why? And if you didn't like the book, say why. So let's do that one first. I'll share with you that I did like the book. Sorry, really itchy eyelid here. Um, I did like the book, but I felt like, I don't know, I feel like something was missing. It's hard to explain it yet. But I felt like she's a very good writer, very good writer. And I just, for me, because I've done so much work around gratitude, I felt like there could have been another layer to it. I don't know. She went and interviewed a bunch of people who were experts in their fields, which, while I appreciate, it took away the personal element of it. I don't know. There it seemed like there was just something I felt like I wish had been different. But I really enjoyed the book, and I do recommend it because I don't think there's enough books that really give a personal account of someone's gratitude journey, and she does a good job of that, showcasing it from like January 1st to the next January 1st, and shows like what she went through each season. So I did like that. But I'm always a person that's going to give you like pluses and minuses of things because I'm very analytical. So, oh, that's right. Okay, Nakoti. Hi, happy Nessa. All right, so let me ask you again, anything that you thought, what did you think of the book if you've read it? And then something, let's just say something, if you've read it, something you either really liked or didn't like. So go ahead and do that, and I'll discuss something else while you're doing that. Um, it was actually a good sized book, like 300 pages. So it wasn't like just this, like a lot of spiritually related books tend to be a little shorter, like under 200 pages. But I thought that it was a good length, but easy to read. Wasn't difficult to read at all. If I had read it in one sitting, I'm a very fast reader. And if I had read it in one sitting, I certainly could have read it in a day easily. I just spread it over several days, though. Um, Hi, Julianne. Welcome in. Okay, nobody's saying anything, so maybe nobody has anything to say about that. So let me point out that one of the comments that she makes early on is like what she thinks gets in the way of us expressing gratitude. Yes, happiness. It's the one by Janice. The link is in the description of this video, too. You can get one through Amazon. But it says, what do you think gets in the way of expressing gratitude? And it said that there's a quote that she didn't come up with this. I guess studies have come up with this, that 90% of people think gratitude makes you happier. Okay, so 90% of us think that gratitude makes us happier, but only less than half of us express gratitude regularly. Isn't that interesting? So it's one of those things that you know is good for you, but you don't do it. Or at least almost half the people don't do it, even though they know it's good. So, yeah, I thought that was really, so what do you think personally? You don't have to have read the book for this one. What do you think gets in the way of us being grateful? And I mean, you don't necessarily have to tell someone else you're grateful. I'm talking about just feeling grateful within ourselves. So Nakoti says, I think sometimes it's how we were raised. Hi, welcome, Muskogee Land. Yes, Rick, I agree about the peace, love, joy, and gratitude, the highest vibrations we can experience. Yes, absolutely. So, but yeah, what do you think gets in the way? Why do people not do it? Yeah, Nakoti, I get that. Well, like I said, I wasn't raised with gratitude. I mean, my father was a really good person. My mother she wasn't a bad person at all. I mean, she was a decent human being, but did not practice gratitude, really. Faith says taking things for granted. Lena says we're not used to it. Rick says all the negativity. Yeah, well, like I said, times right now are a lot harder. Julianne says maybe we don't think about it. Oh, that's fine, Happy Nessa. So yeah, I think for me, I mean, I use the excuse that I wasn't raised with it and I wasn't really surrounded by it for many, many years. And then I had a lot of things not to be grateful for, but I always had things to be grateful for. Now I look back on it and I've had things to be grateful for my whole life, but I didn't see it that way. And so I was miserable a lot. And I mean, in my 20s, in my 30s, part of my 30s. Like I didn't start waking up at all until I was in my 40s, but I still didn't practice regular gratitude. I'm glad you have that safe, clean apartment in Santa Fe, Muskogee Land. Yeah, Beth says getting bogged down in the day-to-day frustrations. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think Nakoti, I agree. I think parents need to instill it in their children. And I don't really, I know my parents' generation, maybe they didn't think in terms of gratitude. I mean, we said please and thank you. I was taught manners. It wasn't that kind of thing. It was that I didn't, gratitude is a whole other level of just being grateful for everything and I had so much in my life. We had so much in our lives when I was little. And yeah, it's a weird thing to me. And I think when my son was little, I hadn't really learned gratitude yet. So unfortunately, I didn't instill that in him either. So, and I don't remember if my husband did at the time or not. I mean, we gave him, he learned manners and stuff, but I don't know that we ever really talked about the importance of because I definitely didn't feel very grateful in a lot of my 20s. I can tell you that. It was one of the hardest decades of my life. It should be the happiest decade of your life, and it was one of the hardest decades of my life. Happiness says there's a quote that says, I bless my life by being grateful. Absolutely. Yeah. Right, Rick. I agree. Yeah, that's why, if you watched my video on my other channel today, you know that I had to discuss the feelings of what's going on right now especially in the US. But you can't let yourself get bogged down by it either, because unless you have direct control over something, there's very limited amount you can do to change it. And you still have to be the person that takes care of yourself first. And then, then whatever else you can do for anyone else is what you have to do if you can. Yeah, it is really hard nowadays. You have to really walk this fine line of, paying attention to what's going on, but also not getting bogged down by it and remembering to still be grateful for what we have. I think that, and you know what, again, I go back to Man's Search for Meaning, which I talked about a couple of weeks ago on the channel. And even in a concentration camp, he was able to appreciate what was, okay, or what was better, or what was, still beautiful in the world. Like he was able to do that in the worst circumstances imaginable. So I think that's a real lesson. You notice how all these books, intertwine with each other with similar messages, really. So Beth says her family did emphasize it. Well, that's good. I wish I had grown up in a family that emphasized that. I really did. I was raised by, I loved my father, and he was an awesome human being. He really was. And he was a very good father. But he was kind of selfish. And his mother, my grandmother, was kind of selfish. And my mother was kind of selfish. So, so that's what I learned about when I was little. And I don't mean selfish to the point of not, loving or anything. I mean, they weren't like narcissists, but they were, they did have tendencies to be um, not very giving of spirit. Now, my dad probably more than my grandmother and my mother, but but I think he did that mostly for, because we were his kids. He did it for his children, but people liked him. My dad was a likable person in the military. He always commanded at least a platoon. And then by the time he died, he was commanding a battalion of soldiers. And from all reports and things I've read that were written down about him, they really loved him. He was a really good leader. And so he must have had, I know he had a selfish streak, but he must have had more generosity of spirit than, the average person. Let's put it that way. Jennifer says other things distract us. Yes, I think that's true. We get distracted really easily, Jennifer, and we take our focus away from gratitude. Absolutely. Yeah. Diana, I am glad you were raised with expressing gratitude. That's wonderful. It really is. The Cody says my parents were the silent generation. Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think that generation in general had a hard time really expressing things like that or advocating for things like that. Gratitude, these people, our parents' generation, lived through the Depression, lived through World War II. They survived a lot. And so I'm sure on some level they were very grateful they survived it. But they didn't talk about it. And so I think, and a lot of people, unfortunately, soldiers who fought in the war, and even my dad who fought in the Korean War, were told to go home and not talk about it, which would have helped them and it would have helped their families understand what they went through. But they were told not to talk about it back then. It was like stuff it down and don't discuss it. So anyway, yeah. Well, I'm going to discuss a couple more things that were in the book that I really. So my favorite part of the book, for those of you who have not read it yet, it's not a spoiler. My favorite part of the book, what she does is she divides this up into chapters where she talks about various aspects of your life. And my favorite chapter is the one where she says, falling back in love with my husband. And for some reason, even though it's like one of the earliest chapters, it really stuck with me because, I'm not in a relationship. And so I can't relate to it in my everyday life here. But I thought it was beautiful how she shifted their relationship into such a better place just by showing gratitude to him every day. She said nice things to him every day. And normally she just wouldn't think of doing that. And this subtle, of course, he knew the thing she was working on, but then it caused him to start saying nice things to her. Like he was grateful for this or that she did. And it just boosted their marriage. It was like, that was so any of you that are married, I really cannot say enough about follow her example on this. Because I think it is really the key to having a really good and especially revitalizing a marriage where, after time, people get complacent. They don't say things. They take people for granted. But just expressing gratitude every day is just huge. Yeah, Nicody, I hear you on the just do it. Yeah. But anyway, that was the part that stuck out to me the most was the chapter on how it really positively impacted her marriage to do this gratitude thing. and to show it every day to her husband, to show that. And then she did it with her children. And it also was a big, her children were grown, but they were, young men, I guess. And, but she even made their relationship better by showing it. So I think in a lot of families, there's a lot of things people take for granted and they don't show this gratitude to their families. I think that's a big thing. So if you have families that you can do that with, I encourage you to do that, because example of what she would say to her husband. Let's see if I can find it real fast. Oh, it's just like she would say to her husband, like, one thing you did lately that I appreciated was, in other words, she would pick out something he did or said or whatever and just say, I really appreciate you for doing that or saying that, So, hi, Ileana. Welcome in. Yeah, Julianne, thanks for sharing that. She says, I started saying nice things to my husband. I think it took him off guard somewhat, but made him feel good, and me too. Exactly. It's a win-win situation. Makes the other person feel good, makes you feel. It only takes, you just have to use your awareness to realize, every day we are grateful to people. We just don't always realize it. And so anyways, this Janice Kaplan started saying, good things to her husband. And, it really, really, like she said, I thanked my husband for driving us home. And then she said, and how her husband responded the next day by thanking her for cooking. Just simple things. If you're cooking a meal, how many times does your spouse, thank you for that? Just simple things like that. So anyway, I love that in the book. Let's see. The other chapter I really enjoyed was the chapter on money, how gratitude could change the way you deal with money or your expectations of money. That always hits home for me because as somebody who was extremely money challenged for a lot of my life, and I'm still money challenged in the sense that I don't make a lot of money. And so there's always this feeling of lack, of not having enough. She said that she actually quoted I believe it's a Greek scholar, Epicurus, who believed that having enough but not too much is a source of pleasure. And so she started advocating that, just saying to yourself, I have enough. Even if you don't really have enough, to be at least grateful for what you have. Thanks, Lucinda. I think just being grateful for what you have is such an asset, and now I get triggered by stuff like this though, because I think, well, yeah, but if you're hurting, if you don't have enough money, then it's hard to be grateful, right? And I think people in general have a hard time being grateful about money. Even the ones who have lots of money have a hard time being grateful about it and saying, I have enough. I have enough. There's a wonderful film called, and I'm actually going to do a film review of it on here. I told you I'm going to do books, but I'm also going to do some spiritually related films. And there was a film that came out in the last, 15 years or so called I Am. Any of you have ever seen it? It's just called I Am, and it's just a beautifully done film. It will. I used to show it to my psychology students because I said this will change your perspective. It's just that profound. And it reminded me that in that movie, there's a guy that they interview, and I believe he actually is still. This guy he's a historian and a philosopher and stuff like that. But he said, let me tell you the difference between having enough and having too much. Okay. He said, if you're if you're cold and alone in the forest and you're walking along and you don't, you don't have proper clothing, you don't have food, you don't have shelter, then you come upon a little cabin, and you walk in and there's a fire in the fireplace and there's warm clothes hanging up and there's food on the table. He said, if you sit down and you enjoy the warmth and change into, warm clothing and have a hot meal, you will feel so grateful because now you have what you need. You have like your basic needs. And he said, but the thing is that you would think, okay, so if you have 100 times more that or 1,000 times more that, would you be that much more grateful or appreciative? And the answer is no, you aren't. We're appreciative to the point where we're not uncomfortable anymore, but then above a certain level, if you've noticed, a lot of really rich people are really greedy. Not all of them, but a lot of really rich people are really greedy. And I always find that fascinating because I'm like, don't they realize they have more than enough? Like if I had that much money, I would almost feel guilty that I had that much money. But it's amazing to me that people, they've done studies of this, and most people who have tons of money are not very happy. So money doesn't buy happiness. So having more than you actually need is not really an asset. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, I'll talk about that more when I cover that film. But yeah. Thank you, Happy Nessa. Yeah, and Happy Nessa says every time I want to complain about the amount of money I make or how small our apartment is, especially my kitchen, hey, I feel you on that one. I stop myself and turn it into gratitude. It instantly changes yeah, exactly. I think I told you before on my other channel that I had this thing where I used to say every night before I went to bed, I'd say, thank you for my warm bed and the roof over my head. And I still say that. I don't necessarily say it every single night, but I say it a lot. And that's something I'm grateful for every day, especially when I didn't have a roof over my head. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm a person that's never been wealthy. I was very comfortable growing up. I didn't have any money worries till I was in my 20s. I really didn't. We had plenty. We were not rich, but we had plenty. And I never had any feeling of lack, that there was something that I really had to have that I couldn't have. And I just, so I've never been rich, okay? So I don't really know what that's like. And I think most people don't know what that's like because the majority of people are not ever rich. Like it used to be when I was growing up, if you had more than $1 million, you were rich. Now it's probably more like $50 million and you're really rich. And I don't think most people have that. But the thing I'm constantly amazed by is how the people who have so much are just so greedy and they don't want anyone else to have that. Like they have more money than they'll ever use. But they're not particularly philanthropic. A few of them are, but very few of them are very philanthropic and give a lot of money to really help other people. Which is, to me, if you have a lot of money, it's kind of like, that's what you should be doing. Why do you need $1 billion? So anyway. Yes, watch my old video about gratitude in particular. Yeah. Because again, just being grateful for simple things in life. I think what you're talking about, Lena, is when I was in the Peace Corps and we only had cold showers for a while. And even in Africa, which was warm, to get in a cold shower every day and not have hot water. After I came back from that experience and came back to the US, I have always been grateful for a hot shower. Always. Always. Like it's always in my head somehow. Like I'm just like, and then there's been a few times I've had to take cold showers in the US where, something happened to the water or something like that, or the water heater. But I've never forgotten that. So, that's a very simple gratitude. Like the thing I just shared with you from that movie. If you're stumbling along in the forest and you're cold and hungry, and you come upon this little warm cabin that has all your basic needs met, then you're happy and you're grateful. So I know, Rick, people that I know it's a thing. It was a trend on YouTube where people were taking cold showers to like help their bodies or something. I'm going, I don't think so. Well, they still do that cold plunge thing. People are still into this whole cold plunge thing. And I'm like, yeah, maybe it does help some things, but most people, like if you're in Scandinavia where they will do that, but they combine it with a sauna. Like you're in the sauna and then you do a cold plunge because you're so hot. I understand that. But yeah, I don't love cold water. Yes, Julianne, you do have to be happy about all the things, even the little ones, little things in life. Let's see, something else I was gonna bring up. All right, so I'll go ahead and ask you this question. So, because I know a lot of you didn't read the book at this point, and that's okay. Hopefully you will. I am making February unofficial gratitude month. So this is the month that, and I'll mention it on my Elder Gal channel as well. But this is the month we really need to focus on being grateful, because everything is really crazy right now and chaotic and scary. But we have to focus on being grateful, because that's something we have control over, is what we choose to think about. So I will be writing in my gratitude journal. I encourage you to do something similar for yourself. And we'll check in even next month, and I'll check in with you, whether it's on Elder Gal or here, and talk about how the month was of gratitudes for you, if you notice that it made a shift for you. But you have to do it every day in some way, whether it's in your head or on paper or whatever. Oh, Smoke says, I work with a nurse who's always complaining about money, yet she only works per diem, lives in $1 million home, parties, travels, thanks to her rich boy. Yes, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Anyone that has that much comfort and access to money in their life, I don't even understand them complaining or wanting just more. But that is the trend. That is what happens to a lot of people. Yeah. So anyway, February Gratitude Month. And part of that, one of the things, watch for my video coming up Wednesday on my regular channel. I will be talking about, what I'm doing for, like I'm doing, going into a no spend time. Well, out of absolute necessity, actually, because, again, very grateful for YouTube. But my income on YouTube literally dropped in half for January, like almost half. So that affects me coming up because we get paid like a month later. So that affects me for March. And but I'm still going to be grateful, and I'm still got to like cut back on everything I can cut back on right now. So that's what I'm doing. But I got to remind myself to still be grateful for what I do have, because otherwise it's really, you get caught up in that fear. especially with money. I have a lot of fear about money because I went through hard times about money, and then I went through my own self-made hard times about money. And then I came out of that and was very poor before I got monetized. And now I'm just somewhat poor. But I am great. You know what I'm grateful for? I'm grateful that I did not get a visa to live in Europe, because if I was sitting in Europe right now with worrying about my financial thing, it would even be worse, because I'd be like, what am I going to do? So, yeah. Oh, Ileana's sharing, love and life can compensate for lots of money. I grew up in Romania. No one was rich. My parents' love and kindness did not make me suffer. But also true, not everyone around was rich. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And most people don't grow up with wealth. Um, and there are examples of rich people who have been very philanthropic and give a lot and really help people a lot. And a lot of them you don't know about. A lot of people that have a lot of money that really do help and donate a lot of their money, they don't even talk about it. It's all done, kind of behind the scenes. And the reason is that, they don't want to get kudos for doing the decent. I mean, they're doing a decent thing, a decent, kind human thing. And a lot of people, their ego, they don't need to get the kudos for that. They just want to do what's, helpful. So, yeah, Ileana, I hear you. Now, I know. Yeah. Well, oh, the place where I didn't even get approved in California. Yeah, I would not have been able to afford that rent. Let me tell you, it's going to be tough going if this continues. So exactly, Connie. Want is the problem, not need. Yeah, when you have more than you need for money, then you just want. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. So. All right. Any other thoughts on? Okay. First, let me ask you. So, how will you make gratitude more a part of your life right now? I want to hear from all of you. How will you make gratitude more a part of your life? Just share something concrete that you will do. Talk amongst yourselves. For myself, I am keeping my gratitude journal, which has little flowers on it. And I am also going to be making sure that I just notice on a daily basis everything I have, even maybe stuff I don't put in the journal. And also remember, for the people that I do know and talk to, that I'm always saying, I appreciate this about you. I appreciate you being my friend, whatever. Just, showing it in that way. Okay, so Connie says, I say a prayer every morning on my porch. And yikes, it was cold this morning. Yeah. Rick says, I'll be grateful for the adversity and hard lessons I have learned. Julianne says, appreciating my husband, yes, keeping a gratitude journal. Happiness, I will continue to pause when I feel like complaining. I will look back on the times I prayed for everything I have now. Muskogee land, I do it every day in the morning. Important to stay in the present. Yes, absolutely. Nicody says, thank my cat each day, even though she drives me nuts, and thank that I have a roof and food. Absolutely. Yes, good point, Beth Larson. Yeah, the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos, Mackenzie Scott, has been an amazing philanthropist since she got divorced from him. She got a big settlement. She got tons of money, billions, and she's really done the right things with that. So kudos to her. Lena, continue gratitude journal in my head and not complain. Anne Maria, I'm going to say it's okay to complain sometimes, as long as you balance it with gratitudes. Like, you don't just complain. Sometimes it's okay to complain. Sometimes we need to vent. So I'm not going to say that it's a bad thing to complain, but you don't want to spend all your time complaining. That's the difference. Good, Anne Maria. I'm glad you're going to get a journal and start. Good for you. All right. So I don't know that I have much else unless you guys will have any other thoughts on the book or on gratitude in general. Like I said, I encourage you all to read it. Let me go ahead and tell you what the book for next time is. There will be a link to it in the description of this. So next month, it's going to be they're going to be every 4 weeks, the book club. So every 4 weeks. So 4 weeks from today, which I believe is like the 1st or 2nd of March. I think it's the 1st of March. It won't always be the 1st of the month though, but it's every 4 weeks. We're going to do a different book. So next month's book is going to be Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. This is a much more spiritual book, like a lot deeper kind of concept. So hopefully some of you will want to do this one. I encourage you. I've had that book for years. I've probably read it 3 times already. I'm going to reread it again. So, oh, good, Julianne. You're on chapter 8. That's great. I forgot what chapter 8 was. Let me look. Oh, you made it past the money chapter. You're in the, getting thanks at work. You know, that's another one that I really like that she did. I mean, it doesn't apply to me anymore because I don't work. I mean, I do work. I have my own work. But that's a good time for me to say I'm grateful for all of you today. Because her point is, at work, a lot of people don't get enough gratitude. And I know when I used to be in the workforce, I didn't get enough. I don't feel like I got enough gratitude. I don't think most people do. And so I just think it's important to say you're grateful. So I'm grateful for all of you, because if you were not here, I wouldn't have a main channel that I do. And I wouldn't be even able to be here right now. So yay. Thank you. Seriously. Oh, that's good. Rick says, if you want to boost, try reading your gratitude back while looking in the mirror. Yeah, exactly. That is a good one. I don't know that I've done that one. Thanks, Rick. Yeah, I should have the book. The book is like 10 years old, The Gratitude, or you mean the Untethered Soul. Thank you for being grateful. Well, I wasn't fishing for you to say it back to me, but thank you. Thank you, all of you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's so simple. Just in your everyday life, even when you go to the store, find a way to say something nice to somebody. That's a way of expressing gratitude just for them being there. They may not have even helped you, but just say something nice to people. It's so easy to do. And once you get used to it, it's just like second nature. Usually when I go out, I'm really nice to people in the stores. I really am. And if they're nice to me, I just, give it back like threefold, because I don't expect everybody to be nice. Although I live in a very nice little area where people tend to be nice, which is good. But yeah, you just be nice. And it's hard for me sometimes to be nice when somebody's really nasty, though. And I know I need to work on that, because part of me, like, mentally just, gets mad about that. But the best way to counteract somebody being nasty is to still say something nice to them. Even if it doesn't matter if it doesn't have an effect immediately. It's a good thing to do. It really is. What is the Bible say? Even though I'm not a big Bible historian, Bible says something about turning the other cheek. Sometimes it's important to do that. Diana, no, it won't be the first Sunday of every month. It'll be every 4 weeks. So It just happens to be another Sunday, first Sunday of the month. But I think there'll be another one like the last Sunday in March. So it will not always be, because I want to do a video every 2 weeks. So I'll do a live in between, and then I'll do like my own little review of something in between there. So I'll have 2 videos a month on this channel. It won't be a lot, but yeah. I have read The Little Prince, but it's been a long time. I should reread that book. Oh, I know, Connie. That breaks my heart. The last thing she said is, "I'm not mad at you." I mean, and then they want to blame her. Come on. Seriously? But her soul is in a good place. So, unfortunately, in what we are dealing with right now, and in the history of the world, actually, good people are martyrs. They really are. Nicody, I hear you on that. And it's actually dangerous if you're an older person, because they could knock you over, literally. Yeah, Muskogee land. My mother was Southern, and that bless your heart. That's one of my favorite things they say in the South, to like really just slam someone. Bless your heart. My mother loved using that one. And if you're in the North, where people didn't, especially back then, they didn't hear that. They thought, "Oh, that's nice of you." Now most people are very aware of the bless your heart thing, I think. But it's still pretty funny. In the South, they will slam you upside down and backwards, and you won't even realize you've been slammed. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, always beware of somebody that calls you precious. Rick, that's funny. Oh my goodness. I gotta have some water. Oh, my little shirt today says, "Today is a good day to have a good day." See, I figured I had to wear something very grateful to do my gratitude thing. So, well, we have to have humor even when we have a book club, because you got to have humor, or it just overwhelms you sometimes what's happening. So, yeah, a lot of places are more direct, Nicody. But the Southerners, they have perfected this over the last, what, 2 centuries, 2.5 centuries of like figuring out how to, just their words are dripping with honey, and they're just slamming you to the ground. I'm sure a lot of cultures have something similar to that, but I always used to laugh about it. I mean, I was born in Kentucky. I was raised, except for the time we spent in Europe, I was raised a lot in the South. So I was very familiar. My mother's family were all Southern. So I hung around them sometimes when I was growing up, like my grandfather and cousins and stuff. And boy, yeah, it's a trip. It's a whole other culture. Thank you, Connie Ann. That's very nice of you. And I love the blue flying emoji. Is that a pear? What is that? Look, it looks like it's a blue pear. A flying blue pear. Thank you, Connie Ann. We do love our hot chocolates when it's cold. Well, they do now, Nicody, but back in the day, they didn't used to know. That was the thing that was funny. Like you go back 50 years, and a lot of people who'd never been in the South had no idea what was going on. I know, because I used to see that when I was a kid. Like, it was so funny. So anyway, uh, having a blessed day is another one. Yeah, I haven't heard that one as much as far as an insult, but I haven't been in the South much since I was what? When was I last? I mean, I've been in the South on like a trip, but I haven't really lived in the South or hung around that part of the country since I was like in my early 20s. So it's been a long time. Diana asked, has the snow stopped? Yeah, it's this beautiful, sunny, freezing cold day here. Sunny as anything, blue sky, but the temperature's like 20. Uh, and we may get more snow Friday or Saturday, but most of the week is supposed to be good. Oh, I scouted out. I'll tell you about it next week in the normal live, but I scouted out the rec center parking lot to make sure I could easily park and walk into the rec center to walk. And I checked that out yesterday. So tomorrow I'm going to the rec center and start walking on the regular, because I couldn't get in it. I have to go a roundabout way to get in there because they have two different accesses. With the access closest to me, still too much snow and you can't really safely drive through there. But the main parking lot was great. So yeah, I'm going to be going. I'll let you know how it goes next Saturday. Yeah, Palm Beach isn't really the South. Hate to say that, but a lot of Northerners like go to that area to, spend the winter and stuff. So no, yeah. But you go into Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, yeah, you'll get a real feel for it there. South Carolina. My mother was from Mississippi. She was born in Mississippi. Her dad was born in Alabama, I believe, because they were close to the Alabama-Mississippi border. And oh, Jean-Marc, hello, bonjour. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up, Jean-Marc. You missed it, but we're grateful that you showed up. Thank you. Yeah, Palm Beach is like little New York. Well, yeah, it's not very. And Florida's kind of different anyway. Florida is not the typical South, so never really was the typical South. Julianne, thanks for being here. See you when, anyway, look for my video in a couple of weeks on this channel, and then we'll do another book club in 4 weeks on the Untethered Soul. I'll give you an announcement about it. Jean-Marc was eating some steak. Of course you were eating. We know that. We keep track of what you're eating too. You had chicken last Saturday, yesterday. Your chicken was burning, I think you said. Oh, Cynthia, the next book is this one. It's The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer. There's a link in the description below this live stream. So if you haven't purchased it and would like to, there is a link that you can do that. Okay, I'm just going to say this. I really hate the fact that I have an Amazon affiliate account because I'm a little not happy, let's say, with the person that runs that company. And I don't like giving them business, really. But I don't really have any other affiliate links right now. So I'm kind of, so I apologize in advance for that. I will try to, I'm trying to find other kinds of affiliates that I can associate with that I have more of a, I'm in the same ballpark of philosophy, shall we say. The next book club, Cynthia, is 4 weeks from today. So you get a month to read a book. So yeah, next time, and really those of you who want to participate, please read this book, because this is a more deep dive into kind of a spiritual topic, but I think that you'll really, enjoy it. It really changes your perspective on reality and like what we're going through, and just in general. It's kind of a timeless book for that. But it's a fairly easy read, even though it's a pretty deep topic. And you can easily read this. Let's see, how many pages is it? This is only like 170, 180 pages. And you can easily read this in, 2-3 days if you just break it up into 50, 60 pages a day. It's pretty easy. Thanks, Cynthia. Yes, George and Lucy, they are my emotional support stuffies. I love the little scarf I made for her. Come on. It's adorable. The little blue scarf, guys. Come on. What is that, Lucy? She says she still wants to wear that all through the summer, too. She loves her little scarf. She said to me, it was very cold at Machu Picchu in the winter, and she didn't have a scarf there. So I probably do get fuel points at Walmart, Nakoti. I have not used those yet, because they have a fuel place. I haven't had to get much gas since I've been here. I haven't done much. So since I got the car, I am chomping at the bit to get out there in the world, but it may be not till March right now, given the conditions, the weather and the road, and for the places that I want to go, have to go on back roads a lot, and I just have to make sure I do not want to take a risk of having an accident. Remember, I had to get higher insurance for 6 months, and have a good record and not have any problems until I can get lower insurance. So I'm being extra careful. I mean, I'm normally pretty careful anyway, but I'm being extra careful. So Ileana says, I'm grateful for this day the way it is. I say it every day. That's wonderful. That's a good one. I'm grateful for this day the way it is. Like, in other words, not expecting anything more or less, just saying, whatever's happening today, I'm so grateful for that. That's wonderful. Thank you, Ileana, for sharing that. I know, Rick, I'm hibernating right now, and I kind of like it, actually. I am going to have to push myself, though, to go to the rec center and start walking, because now I haven't been walking for 2-3 weeks. And it's like, I still do my exercises in my apartment, but I need to walk. I'm just getting antsy. So cannot walk outdoors right now. I'll tell you, there's no safe place to walk out there. Oh, that's great, Connie. Yes, Rick says, have a great weekend, everyone. And I agree. So we'll wrap this up. We've gone about an hour, and that's great for our first book club. We'll try this again next month. And meanwhile, look for my review of something coming up in 2 weeks. I don't know what I'm going to review yet. It might be a movie. And but anyway, look for my video on that. If you haven't watched today's regular Elder Gal video, please watch today, and look for another one Wednesday. Join me for normal Elder Gal live stream next Saturday. And anyway, hit the thumbs up if you're a small audience for this one. But anyway, and again, thank you to all of you for even being here. I appreciate it. Yes, absolutely, Jean-Marc. I'll be using my silver sneakers tomorrow, although I don't actually have silver sneakers. Yes, I couldn't say it better myself, Connie. Everyone, stay warm. Have a good rest of your day. Anyway, until next time, be a good human. Take care. Bye.